Okay, so when the playbook is finished, assuming it's finished successfully, what you're going to see is the last task is going to be print demo facts. And what this is just going to be an output of any important information that you may need to run that you're going to use throughout the demo. So it'll come up like we're right here. We've got Gitea. We're going to use Konnect DP and Konnect Sandbox facts for Insomnia. Now, if you lose track of these, that's okay, because if you navigate into the ansible directory, you'll see there's a demo _ facts.json file, and this has all the facts for you as well. All right, so let's go ahead and make sure we're logged into the cluster, and we will we'll navigate. Let's go ahead and navigate Openshift and see what we've deployed. So first, let's take a look at the projects that we've got running. So let's do OC-get projects, if I can spell. Wow, it's super slow. And let's see what we got. So we created a gateway or an APIOps gateway namespace, as well as an disputes API spec namespace. These namespaces are for running our pipelines. Then we've got disputes dev. This is where the disputes microservice is actually running. Gitea is for the Gitea self-hosted Git repository namespace. And then the last two important ones are Konnect DP and Konnect Sandbox. This is where our gateways are running. So let's go ahead and navigate into Konnect Sandbox to see what's in there. Konnect Sandbox. Already on it? Oh yeah, let's just do this again. All. And so what we can see here is that we've got one pod. It's called Konnect DP T blah blah blah, and we've got a service. This is actually of type load balancer. So this is an external load balancer running in our AWS infrastructure right now. And if we were to navigate to the other project, Konnect DP, you'd see something pretty similar. So this is good because we want to be able to see these pods up in Konnect. And this load balancer is when we actually call our gateway, when we call our backend services and are doing the testing. This is actually the endpoint we're going to be calling as the load balancer itself. Okay, so let's go ahead up to Konnect and see what's going on up there. I'm just going to log in real quick to my Konnect instance. And I'm deposited immediately into the runtime managers. So if you go ahead and navigate to runtime manager, and you should see two runtime groups. One is called default. This comes with your default account, and we created a second one called dev. You can see it's very clearly got the APISecOps description on there. So go ahead and click on the default runtime group. We'll see what's going on in there. And the first thing that you'll see is that you should have a runtime instance with the same pod name as that we saw in Konnect Sandbox namespace. So this pod aligns to the pod in Konnect Sandbox. And we can also see it's connected, seems like it's healthy, and it's compatible. Next, let's go down to consumers. So throughout the automation, we didn't just configure and connect data planes or those gateways to the Konnect control plane. We actually also did a deck sync and did some global configuration for you as well. So a part of that, we created a consumer Jane. Consumer Jane does have some credentials. It's got Jane has an auth token called Konnect, so we'll be using that. We also did some plugin configuration. So we set rate limiting and cores as global plugins. So any API request that goes through this runtime group is going to have rate limiting. It's going to have rate limiting and cores attached. Next, let's go over to the dev runtime group. Do the same thing. Let's see what's going on. We can see we've got a single pod. It's connected. It's in sync. Go into consumers. We've got Jane is still there. She's still a consumer in dev, and Jane has has an API key. And similarly, let's look at plugins. Again, we can see we've got the rate limiting and the cores plugin enabled. So that's for Konnect. We can see we saw the data plans running in 2 namespaces in Openshift and how they correspond to runtime groups up in the Konnect control plane portal. Next, let's go over to Openshift and see what's going on. So we do have some pipelines. Where are those? If you've logged in to the cluster, first of all, if you don't know how to log in and the console, a quick sneaky cheaty way is I do OC-get routes in namespace OpenShift console, and it punches out the URLs for HTTPS. So it punches out the URL that you need. And then you log in with the same credentials that you used on the CLI. So when you're logged in, on the left-hand panel, navigate to Pipelines, select Pipelines again, and if you are on all projects, go ahead and pick disputes API spec project first. And this is the first pipeline that we're going to be running. The other 2 pipelines are going to be located in APIOps Gateway. So we can take a quick look at those. There's the Sandbox pipeline, and we've got the Dev pipeline. Now let's go over to Gitea and see what's up in the Git repository. So for Gitea, you need some login facts. You can go ahead and copy the URL from your demo facts file. I'm going to copy this out. And then just commit to memory, but the username and password are Gitea OpenShift. We're going to have to log in. So let's go over to Gitea. I'm actually going to sign out, start from scratch. I'm going to go ahead and sign in. Gitea OpenShift. There we go. And then we can see we've got 2 repositories here. This bottom repository is for the development team, and this is where they manage and do internal review of their API spec before they want to submit it, send it out for review. So this is where they have it version controlled. And then the second repository is where the governance keeps their security rules and where operations will be storing any Konnect deck configurations, as well as anything needed for the dev portal is stored in the Acme Bank APIOps Gateway repository. Okay, and with that, that really gives us the purview of all the resources we've got deployed on OpenShift and how we've got Konnect configured. In the next tutorial, we will actually open up Insomnia and start up with the first step of API design. So I will see you over there.